What up? Today we're going to talk about segments. Okay. The first thing you need to know is that the distance between any 2 points is the absolute value of the difference of the coordinates. Okay, so the distance between any 2 points is the absolute value of the difference, meaning subtraction, of the coordinates. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to use that. Okay, so example number 1. It wants you to find the length of each of these segments. Okay, so the first one is segment XY. Okay, we know that X right here is 1.5, and we know that Y, is right here at 5. Okay, so we can go ahead and set it up. Remember, the definition said is the absolute value of the difference of the coordinates. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our absolute value. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And we knew that X was 1.5. And our Y was 5, and we had to find the difference between those. Okay? So let's go ahead and find the difference. If you take 1.5 minus 5, you get the absolute value of minus 3.5. But if you remember what absolute value is, you have to take that number and make it its positive. Okay, so it would become just positive 3.5. Okay, so the difference between X and Y would just be 3.5 units. Okay, so the difference between here and here would be 3.5. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at XZ. Okay, we know that X is still 1.5, and we know that Z is 3. So let's go ahead and do this one real quick. Okay, so we got our absolute value signs, and we knew that X was 1.5, doink, and we know that Z is minus 3. And if you take 1.5 minus 3, that gives you absolute value of 4.5. And the absolute value of that is just itself. So you get 4.5. Okay, so there is our 2 segments that we've found the lengths of. Okay, if you need to take a look at that again, you may. Alright, we're going to move on. The next term you need to know is that congruent segments are segments that have the same length. Okay, so let's take a look at this little diagram down here. You'll notice that you have the segment PQ, this guy, and you have the segment RS. The first thing you'll notice is that they both have these little tick marks. Okay, what those little tick marks represent is that PQ is congruent to RS, congruent meaning that they are the same length. Okay, so PQ and RS are the same length. You would say that, or you could write that as PQ is congruent to RS. Okay, so if you ever see those little tick marks, all that means is that it's congruent. Okay, now the first postulate you need to learn this year, you must learn these. Okay, so postulate 1-2-2 is if B is between A and C, then AB plus BC equals AC. So what it's saying is, if you want to find the distance from here to here, all you have to do is add AB and add BC, and you'll get this total length. Okay? So let's take a look at example number 2. Okay, we'll take this nice and slow. Okay, so it says G is between F and H. FG equals 6 and FH equals 11. Find GH. So let's try to write a diagram for this thing. It says G is between F and H. So you know F and H are your endpoints. Okay, so here's F and H. And G is between those. So if we draw a line, we know that G is going to be somewhere right in here. Okay, and if we look at our thing up here, it says if B is between A and C, then AB plus BC equals AC. So let's go ahead and write out an equation real quick. So we want to find the GH, but we need to find a couple of the pieces. So we have FH, and we know that to find FH that we have to add FG plus GH. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug in some values. We know that FH equaled 11, so we're going to plug in an 11. And we know that FG is 6, and we don't know what GH is yet. Okay, so now all we need to do is solve this equation. So we're going to, on both sides, we're going to subtract 6. And that gives us 5 equals GH. Okay, so we wanted to find GH, so we went ahead and did that. So this would be your segment length of GH. Oops. Not so bad, right? Okay, what I would like you to do is take a look at example number 3 by yourself. I'd like you to pause the video, try to find the answer by yourself. If you can't, the answer will be on here. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to set up our little equation. We know that NO is going to equal NM plus MO. Okay, so NO, of course, your whole length is going to equal 5x plus 2. Your NM segment is 17. And your MO section is 3x minus 5. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to solve that big scary equation. Woohoo! Going back to algebra. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, get all the x's on the same side. So we have 2x plus 2 equals 17 minus 5. And then we'll go ahead and solve it. So we have 2x plus 2 equals 12. And then 2x plus, or equals 10 after you subtract 2 on both sides, and then x equals 5. Okay, so we know that x equals 5. Now we just have to go ahead and figure out what each segment is. So let's start with MO, for example, or NO. So we know NO equals 5x plus 2. So we're going to plug in our x that we found, this guy, into our x right here. So we'll have 5 times 5 plus 2, and if you get that done, it equals 27. Okay? Go ahead and take a break, stretch a little bit, then head to the next page. Done with that page, going on.